Hello and welcome to yet another episode of a weekly Waypoint where we are playing Bean Game, otherwise known as Fall Guys. It has gone free to play and it is fun to play. I played it when it first came out on PlayStation Plus, promptly ditched my PlayStation 4 for an Xbox Series S. That's not true, didn't ditch it, it's in my cupboard, it's fine. Yeah, I was happy to see this go free to play so I can play it again. There have subsequently been many seasons, many additional maps, and as you're about to see, I run into a bunch of maps which I've never played before. Or I guess maps isn't the correct term, it's more obstacle courses, but you know what I mean. I decided to dress up as a sushi roll because that way when I roll, people aren't surprised. Anyway, right out of the gate, the first thing I want to talk about is something which I haven't really addressed yet, and that's where is the Ratchet & Clank Let's Play. The original delay of a Ratchet & Clank Let's Play was because I was waiting for my new mic to be delivered and then my new mic pop filter to be delivered, but now there's no excuse really. Where the heck is it, I hear you ask? I don't hear you ask, most people are just here for the classic Doctor Who, let's be honest. And yeah, that's partially the reason, that stuff's going so well, that's kind of where I'm focusing my efforts if I'm like in a state where I want to get some content done on time for its quote-unquote deadline. It's gonna be that, because that's where the people are watching. And honestly, just like, I've been feeling a little, not overwhelmed, that's not the right word, but like there's a lot constantly to do for like something that I just treat as a hobby, so it's kind of on unofficial hiatus. I'll see if I can get around to recording some episodes tomorrow maybe, but I had a fair amount of overtime this week at work, so I didn't have a lot of free time, or I didn't have as much free time as I'm used to. Led to me feeling quite burnt out, led to me just wanting to play video games in my free time instead of being, you know, creative and productive. So that's what's happened to the Ratchet & Clank Let's Play. I'm thinking from here on out it might not be 3 videos a week like I kind of did with my Super Mario Brothers Let's Play back along. It's probably going to be more like as and when, like not really to any set schedule, but it's definitely something I obviously still want to do and I'm very excited to keep doing with this new microphone, obviously. It's also tough because like I'm very much kind of a, I don't know how to say it, like blinkered person when it comes to what console I've got plugged in. That's the one I'm playing for ages. It takes like 2 minutes to change my plugs around, even with the recording Elgato stuff I need to worry about as well. But the thing is, those 2 minutes in my brain are like, I can't be bothered, you know? Like, that's usually what kills my Xenoblade Chronicles, like, playthroughs. I'm like, I don't know, like, I want to play this Xbox game again, and then all this other stuff is here on Xbox, and can I really be asked to spend 2 minutes changing wires around to continue playing Xenoblade Chronicles? Oh, I'm a little short on breath. Life sure is difficult, isn't it? Changing wires? Ugh, who could bother? But yes, as I alluded to, this week I've continued my Xenoblade Chronicles playthrough, or I've begun to continue it. Is that the right way of saying that? That's definitely not the right way of saying that. I obviously started by putting that video up on Saturday, which was meant to be a bonus video and kind of just turned into the weekend video. But yeah, I've been getting back into it, I've been playing it, I've been enjoying it, and I'm hoping to continue playing it because now that I've finished Final Fantasy, or quote-unquote finished Final Fantasy XIV, this is going to be my next big long story. I'm going to try and have like a series of big long story games at any given point. When we've run out of Final Fantasy XIV video, it is my plan to transition into Xenoblade Chronicles video. Of course that plan could fall to pieces if I lose interest in Xenoblade Chronicles very quickly, but hopefully that won't happen. That being said, I did just buy Monster Hunter Rise on a whim in a sale. I've never really gotten into a Monster Hunter game, but Monster Hunter Rise looks really good, and I already had Switch credit, you know, kind of banked for 3DS games, which I don't think I'm buying any more of, to be honest, before the shop shuts. And I had some gold points discounted, and it was on sale. So basically, all of that included, I bought it for like £6. That's pretty bloody marvellous, isn't it? I might bounce off of it. I did get Monster Hunter Ultimate 4 for the 3DS, and I absolutely hated the way that game controlled, so I never really played it. I did get Monster Hunter World for PC, but it performed like ass on my PC, so even though I did like the initial gameplay, I kind of fell off of playing that quite quickly too. But maybe this time it'll stick, and if it didn't, I'm only £6 down. Well, more like £20 when you factor in like my Switch credit I already had, but it's not the end of the world, and who knows, maybe I'll really enjoy it. But that is what I'm going to play. As for what I have already been playing this week, I've pretty much marathoned the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Shippuden whatever series. That is such a mouthful to say every time. I always cut random bits off of it and forget to include other bits, but basically I played through, I don't know where I left off last week. I think I'd already beaten 1, but I played through all of 2, all of 3, and I'm like a quarter of a way through 4, which is a bit shorter anyway. I kind of just want to rush 4 and get it done so that I can focus on other games. It's one of those games that like eats up entire, well, free time days, if you know what I mean. Alongside that, I've been playing a bit more Final Fantasy XIV, and you might be thinking, Christian, I thought you fell off when you tried to get into endgame after finishing the 6.1 main scenario quest again. And I did, but then my friend at work, just my friend in general, I knew him before work, my friend Liam, he told me that he was getting into the game, so I made a new character, hopped onto the same server as him, and I've just been leveling up this, well, he started off as an archer, but now he's a rogue. Love the fact that that bean just hit the camera, by the way. It really beamed the cameraman. Anyway, yeah, my rogue, he's called Kafala Tia. He's a cat boy, obviously, as you can tell by the last name, if you know the lore. He's not very far at the minute. He's like level 15, and I don't know if I'm going to keep playing him. It kind of depends on if my friend's going to keep playing. My subscription does run out in like a week, so I guess we'll see where it goes, but I was pleasantly surprised by just how nice it was to level through the earlier levels. When I think of how much I love Final Fantasy XIV, it's always to do with how grand the story gets, where it goes, how crazy it is, and you think on A Realm Reborn and you're like, oh man, that earlier stuff was boring, but it is quaint as hell to just be low level, running around Gridania, helping people out, you know, like, I forgot, while we constantly rag on A Realm Reborn and tell people they just need to get through it, that's only in comparison to what comes later. What comes before is a really solid B tier MMO experience. Like, it's very side questy, the voice acting's a bit wooden, you know, it's got all those problems people always talk about, but it's just decent and good and fun and charming. I told myself I wasn't going to sit through all of the cutscenes again, I was just going to skip through them to try and catch up to my friend, and I absolutely started just sitting through all of the cutscenes again. I was always opposed to the idea of creating a new character in Final Fantasy XIV because it seems kind of pointless, like almost nothing is account-wide, because jobs, you can do every single one on a single character, and I don't think there's any racials or anything like that, so you wouldn't need to make a new character to try a new job, right? But it's like, just fundamentally, in a way that I can't put into words, it just feels better. I think it's because I've never been fully satisfied with the alt leveling experience in Final Fantasy XIV. You know, I've kind of gotten better about it recently, like I've had fun doing like my daily dungeon, or my daily duty finder roulettes on my Reaper and stuff like that, and I know there's tons of different avenues of leveling, but it's always felt a bit piecemeal to me. I've talked about this before. I think like obviously this isn't going to work for constant repeated playthroughs, it'll get old eventually, but just running through main story quest on a brand new character, that's alting to me, I guess. That's a fun way of doing it. I didn't expect to feel so legitimately liberated from my responsibilities as the Warrior of Light, but yeah, here we are. I'm taking a break on my Catboy. That being said, again, it really does depend on how much my friend is going to continue playing the game. I haven't heard from him in a couple of days about it, so, you know, this could be the end of it for now. I'm kind of itching to get back into World of Warcraft, so maybe I'll swing back that way again. Oh, that reminds me, Elder Scrolls Online High Isle, a new expansion released this week, and I've hardly played it. I've got like halfway through the first quest, purely because it's not the game's fault, it's just I've been distracted by other stuff lately. From what I've heard, this expansion is much better received than recent expansions, which gives me hope and excites me, but I just kind of wandered off. I don't feel like there's any rush, to be honest. Like, I can just kind of wander back in and play through it whenever I feel like. I really do think they need to release an expansion soon though that has like a new class or a new race or something fundamentally new about it though, because as good as it all looks, it's still very formulaic based on what we already have. In other MMO related news, I downloaded Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, speaking of titles which are a mouthful, and I watched a video about it while it was downloading, and I promptly didn't launch it. It looks fine, I'll probably enjoy it, but I was just let's be honest, I downloaded it because I was like, oh, I can't be asked to change wires to play Xenoblade Chronicles right now. So that's going to be 100 gigabytes sitting on the hard drive of my Xbox for a while, because I actually have no plans to play it. So that, oh, why did I even mention it? I might as well also mention that I tried Path of Exile for the second time and got about as far in as I did last time I tried it, which was about 10 minutes in when you get to the quest hub and start accepting quests. I was just like, nah. I've been hearing a lot of hubbub about Grim Dawn recently, which is a game that I own on Steam and have sunk 2.5 hours into. I think people are just desperate to get into a good ARPG since Diablo Immortal happened. I'm still holding out hope that Diablo 2 Resurrected will come to Game Pass when the Activision purchase goes through, but who knows if that's going to happen anytime soon. I am still hungering. I did also download Diablo 3 and promptly stopped playing it immediately because I didn't feel like it, so here you go. This is just a section of a video where I talk about installing games and not playing them, I guess. Thrilling stuff, I know. I also played a bit more Fortnite. You know how I've been playing a whole bunch of that recently? Well, I kind of slowed down on that finally over the last week or two. I've started popping back in and playing that again, and I actually dropped some, well, 15 quid on it just to get the Naruto and Kakashi skins because, I mean, you know me, gotta have my Naruto and Kakashi skins, and then I realised afterwards that, you know, that's kind of the same price I paid for all 4 Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games and DLC, but it's fine. I mean, I play that game and I'm like legitimate. It brings me legitimate joy that I have those skins, so I don't see it as a big deal. I'm a little sad that Fortnite skins cost as much as they do because there are now loads of Naruto characters in there, and I recently spent all of my accumulated V-Bucks on a Spider-Man bundle, so I was like, ah, damn it, I'm gonna have to spend real money on this one, but I just couldn't not have Naruto and Kakashi, you know? Fortnite's a really fun game and I'm still playing it tons, so might as well throw some extra money at it to get a couple of skins that I like. Here's what's been on my mind today. I really wish they would bring Final Fantasy VII Remake to Xbox, because they brought it to PC and acted like that was the solution. We don't need to bring it to Xbox now, because we got it on PC so everyone can play it, whether they've got a PS4 or other category. And I say to them, I have a 960 with 2 gigabytes of VRAM, and my computer is not capable of running Final Fantasy VII Remake. A while ago, I think after my first break of playing Final Fantasy XIV, when I got like halfway through Stormblood, I decided to go on a tear of all of the Final Fantasy games which are at that point on Game Pass, and I could never really get into any of them. Like 7 original, I tried, you know, 10, I tried 12, like, there were some of them that I could definitely have played more of, but none of them really fully grabbed me and hooked me in. That being said, when I look at Final Fantasy VII Remake, I feel like that could be the one, you know? I feel like I really enjoy Final Fantasy XIV probably because it's so modern compared to a lot of the other Final Fantasy games, and if a lot of those other Final Fantasy games had modern treatment to them, I would probably be super into them, so I really hope that they do bring Final Fantasy VII Remake to Xbox someday. If I really wanted to, I could pull out my PlayStation 4 and play it there, but I'd have to pay for PS Plus to get it, because I think it was like the very last month I was subbed to PlayStation Plus, it was actually on there. The only issue with that, you might be like, Christian, stop being so lazy, just get your fucking PS4 out. Listen, I have a set of drawers next to me, and it contains, on top of it, sits my PlayStation 2, my Nintendo Switch, my PS3, and my Xbox Series S, and there is no more room. And I'm currently, I need my PS3 out at the minute because I'm doing the Ratchet and Clank stuff, so so yeah, if it really comes down to it, I guess I will play it on PS4, but I also don't want to have to pay monthly just to play one single game, you know, because that's all it would be at this point. Also, future titles will be on PS5, and I don't have a PS5, so that's why I still want them to bring it to Xbox as well as Final Fantasy 16. But I guess I'm spoiled, I'm whinging when we're the people who are getting all of these Xbox exclusives now from like Bethesda and stuff that aren't going to end up on PlayStation. So I would say I'm whinging when I've got the, you know, the upper hand on exclusives or whatever, but I just hate exclusives in general. It's a little dictatorial to say that I think every game should be on every console, like, especially when you get like first-party Sony studios making games for PlayStation and, you know, telling them that they have to put their games on Xbox and everything. That doesn't sound like a solution. That sounds like megalomaniacal controlling. But I don't know, I just don't like the idea of exclusives in general. I think exclusives exist because Xbox and PlayStation don't have fundamentally different enough hardware to justify having a console without exclusives, so it bugs me, but I think that's why it is the way that it is. If either PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X had like a fundamental quirk to it like the Nintendo Switch does that differentiated it from the competition, then maybe things would be different, but I don't know. I mean, I see other people saying these things on Twitter and the only response they ever get is, just buy a PS5 as well. Because that's the voice you have to read Twitter replies like that in, because that's how that goes. Here's me dying stupidly, doing the fucking emote. Decided to do some action time replay here to really drive home how stupid that death was. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.